They said you wanted to see me, Coach?
Yeah, man. Step on up into my office. It's Homespun Sports with Coach John Montgomery. Sports talk with a twist of down-home wisdom. Welcome, and Merry Christmas. You have tuned in to Homespun Sports, and we are so glad that you are here. Once again, it's sports talk with a twist of down-home wisdom. I'm your host, the coach, John Montgomery. I'm right here in H-Town, but way up in Oklahoma City. My ride or die, my partner in crime, the last P in the shell, Slim. What's up, my brother?
You still with the P in the shell. What's going on with you, Coach? How you doing?
Oh, man, I am so excited about show number 16. Ladies and gentlemen, my coaching career is indebted without question to our very, very special guest. He is a pioneer. He is a visionary. He is a ball coach par excellence, an accomplished author of the best-selling book, A Coach of a Different Color, my mentor, my good and dear friend. Ladies and gentlemen, please make welcome Coach Ray Greene.
How you doing?
Coach.
What's going on, Coach Greene? How you doing?
I'm just sitting back, relaxing, taking a break from the game.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I love the background you got, Coach. I love the backdrop. I said I love the backdrop you got.
That's my daughter's work.
Yes, sir.
Coach, we're so glad. We're so glad that you took time from your busy schedule. I know you're heavily involved in a number of activities throughout the city of Huntsville, Alabama, but that you would think enough of Homespun Sports to share your coaching experience, all that you have meant to the game of college football, to the city of Huntsville, Alabama, to Alabama A&M University. It is a delight to have you on our show.
Coach. Well, I appreciate that, John. You know, the time I first talked to you on the radio show with Earl Reese, I thought you did a great job, and this has been a great show. I listen every week. Listen to Coach Cheryl every week, and then Glover, and and Jeffrey's some pretty high company.
Well, we try it, Coach. We're growing, and having you on this show certainly enhances our growth. No question about that, Coach.
Coach Greene.
Well, you look here. Coach. There's a boy from Poto who I never thought of black folks living in Oklahoma until I met you.
There are a few of us.
You widen my ear open.
Coach, you growing up as a teenager in Akron, Ohio in the 50s. You start your coaching career off in the early 60s, winning that city championship in 1963. And then you get the call. Iowa State, the University of Iowa State calls you up. Head coach Johnny Majors, an all-star roster of assistant coaches, Jackie Sherrill, Jimmy Johnson, Joe Avanzio. Tell us about Joe Avezzano. Tell us about that experience. About being Cyclone, you getting that first experience.
Well, let me first say that my trip to coaching was Akron, Ohio first, but I moved to Fort Pierce with a guy I worked with at Akron Kenmore down to integrate the school system. There were no black coaches or teachers at the school system where I worked, and I worked there for a couple of years before I decided I wanted to be a college coach. And I made my own stationery, man, and sent out letters to all Took Street Smith's yearbook, sent letters to all the colleges in there, all the major schools, telling them that I was applying for assistant coach's job. Shows you how naive I was. But while I was there, I got the urge to be a college coach, and I got a scholarship to Miami because at the time integration was going on in the school systems. They didn't have any black administrators when they integrated. So I got a scholarship to Miami, and I had already had a graduate assistantship, several matter of fact, taken one. I went down to Miami and asked to see Coach Charlie Tate. I told him that, look, Coach, I want to be a college coach. I said, I'm going to be on campus. You don't have to pay me anything right now. I said, but I'd like to work with your staff. So we talked for a while. Pretty soon he did. He ended up paying me. But from there, that's how I got associated with majors. I got a call one evening from Leroy Pierce, who was the offensive coordinator at Miami at the time. And he said, Ray, you want a coaching job? I said, yeah. I said, you got one open? He said, no, not here. He said, Johnny Majors is looking for a coach. He said, he wants to hire a black coach. He didn't know anybody. At that time, I had never seen, to tell you, I'm sure I'd never seen a black coach in high school or college or professional football. And
Wow.
so I went to interview with majors and ended up getting the job. And great experience.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, now Iowa State coach Jack Trice, legendary African American, played there. So was it
the stadium named after
the
Iowa
stadium
State
name
Stadium,
was?
the only
Yes, sir.
D1 school, Jack Trice
Yeah.
Stadium.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
even at that, there's another name that you recognize, Carver. We used to have our meetings in Carver Hall, and I never realized that George Washington Carver spent his graduate work at Iowa State.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
George Washington Carver did his graduate work.
Yep.
Wow.
We were meeting in Carver Complex all those years. Now, I'm not sure how I found out about it, but still, it was kind of a revelation.
Oh, that's
But
crazy, Coach. Okay, Coach Greene.
Just let me get back
Coach
to the
Greene.
question
Now,
about those
going back to
coaches.
my high school days, Coach. Iowa State offered me a scholarship when I was at Douglas. Now, me and my father, we went up there for an official visit, and we stayed with a friend of his. And I remember a story. It was cold to me. It was 72 degrees, and I remember going to my dad. I'm like, Dad, you know, it's a little chilly in here. And he's like, oh no, buddy, it's Iowa. It's actually hot to them. And I was like, oh, Lord have mercy. I don't know about this one, Coach. How hard was it to get good black talent to come to Iowa State University when you were recruiting? Can you tell us about some of
In
the
the
cyclones
70s, Coach.
Can you tell us about some of the cyclones that you remember?
Oh yeah, I mean there were a bunch of kids from Florida. Florida and Georgia were my main recruiting areas, and I picked Florida because I was a coach down there in high school and knew the schools and the coaches. But we had some great players from Florida. Of course, the schools in the South were not taking a bunch of black athletes. In Iowa State, they're not enough. There were not enough athletes at Iowa to service Iowa State. I mean, you might find one or two players a year that's Division I players in Iowa.
But Coach
So
Greene,
huh?
Coach Greene, I remember you brought Mike Strahan now.
Mike Strand, Ike Harris, who played for St. Louis Cardinals. Keith Creflo. I mean, there's a bunch of Big Daddy Hunt. Barry Hill played for the Dolphins.
Coach, what about
all
Luther
these
Blue?
kids came from Miami and Fort Lauderdale and South Florida, man. You asked me how I got them there? Well, you know, it was an opportunity for them to travel, but my wife asked me the same question. You bring these kids up here in the snow. Look, most of them didn't have any coats. So I said, well, you know, they come up there. And I used to talk to them about that. He said, Coach, it was tough. He said, but playing in the snow for the first time was a great thrill. He said, I didn't realize how bad it was until we had to start getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go to class. I said, well, you already got us.
Coach, you brought Matt Blair there, who was a great player for the Minnesota Vikings.
Oh, yeah, Wayne Stanley was a quarterback that took up there. That was a great quarterback out of Belgrade, Florida. And a bunch of schools were recruiting, but they wanted to recruit him as a running back or wide receiver. And I told John, I said, John, I can get this kid. I said, but he's going to play quarterback. I said, if you don't give him an opportunity to play quarterback, you will lose South Florida. So he did, and I ended up playing. Actually, Wayne ended up, when Majors left, Earl Bruce took over and coached Dwayne and took him to Ohio State as an assistant coach.
Coach, you know, a black man in the late 60s, early 70s, Wikipedia, you were the second African-American assistant coach in D1 football. Rudy Hubbard was the first in 68, but you come to Iowa State in 1969. Coach, you brought that good black talent. Now, you were a hell of a recruiter to bring Luther Blue from Valdosta, Georgia, to
Luther Blue,
Iowa
yeah.
State. You said Wayne Stanley. You bring in all this good black talent from the South to Ames, Iowa. Coach, I tip my hat to you. I tip my hat to you.
Well, I tell you what, I never wanted to be known as the black recruiter. And I also recruited a bunch of white kids, to tell you the truth. Arlen Sionaski from Savannah, Georgia, Ted Jordan out of New York. I mean, it was, but you know, I didn't sell blackness. I sold the fact that we had a great university, that they get an opportunity to play, and that I promised them that I would do what I said I was going to do. That's what the whole thing in coaching. You know, you tell a kid something, and you mean it. You'll find out whether you tell them the truth or not from sooner or later. And after they got there, I treated them better than they probably thought I should have at times, but they helped me recruit. And that makes a difference.
Coach Greene, in 1979, you come to my birthplace, Huntsville, Alabama, as the head football coach of the Bulldogs of Normals Hill. You bring Woodrow McCorvey there as your offensive coordinator, and when you get there, you find this kid, right? This goofy kid, a holdover from the last hired staff, part-time dorm counselor / linebacker coach. Coach Greene, I want to personally thank you for keeping my father as an employee on your staff. Thank you so very much.
I'll say this unapologetically. John, in talking with John, I knew he was a smart guy and a hard worker, because when you're working in the dorms and then trying to coach too, it's a difficult job. But
it runs in the family.
Well, I'll tell you what, the first thing, his intelligence. And he asked questions. He was always willing to learn anything he had to say. And he was a student of the game and did a good job recruiting. So, you know, you want to keep good people. Now, McCorvey was a high school coach and recommended by a good friend of mine, Jim Dyer, we worked with at Iowa State. And I said, look, Jim, I said, this kid's a high school coach. He said, Coach, he'll be a great coach for you. And I had him on Jim's recommendation. But and one thing I found out is that, you know, sometimes you give a person a chance. Let me just say that. I don't want to ramble on. But in an education class I took one time, Dr. Riediger said that when you stand up in front of a bunch of students, you have to realize that many of them are smarter than you are and have more intelligence. They don't have experience. And then in recruiting young guys like John and Woody and Chavis, very bright people that probably did more for me than anybody else in terms of this profession. And I appreciate
Coach Greene, that's a name that I'm so glad you brought up. Slim, now this is 1980. Okay, now you understand something. Ray Greene gets the job. Coach Greene gets the job in 1979, finds me there, saw something in me and kept me. Thank you, Coach. But in 1979 now, we go to the Division II playoffs. We go to beat the University of North Alabama at their place. They're undefeated, untied, and ranked number 5 in the nation. We go to Florence, Alabama, whip their butt on their home field. Now, that was 79. Go to the NCAA playoffs, get beat in the second round. One game from the national championship in his first year at Alabama A&M. 1980, to show you about the visionary this man, Coach Greene, had. 1980, he brings John Chavis, who was a GA at Tennessee. He brings John Chavis to Alabama A&M. Now in 1980, I'm an assistant with Woodrow McCorvey, who right now is Dabo Swinney's right-hand man. And John Chavis, legendary defensive coordinator at LSU, Tennessee, Arkansas, a legend in one of the great defensive minds of college football, John Chavis. We're all assistant, young pups, young coaches at Alabama A&M together. And this man put it all together.
Well, again, people say it's who you know, but I think it's who knows you. Jim Dyer, I mentioned at Iowa State, recommended both Woody and John. I called Jim. I said, Jim, I said, look, I want to hire an integrated staff. Do you have anybody to recommend? He said, Coach, I got the perfect person for you. His name is John Chavis. I said, tell him he's hired. He came down to Alabama A&M, a young guy, and I took him up to the cafeteria for lunch and offered him the job. He took the job. Got a call that afternoon from the president that said he wanted to interview John Chavis. He didn't know who John was white. So I said, no. I said, I've already told him I'm going to hire him. I said, you never asked me to interview anybody else. I said, I was a little bit brash as a youngster. I got smarter as I got older, but not quite smart enough. But it was just fortunate that Jim Dyer was there, and that Jim and I were friends. And Jim was a sincere person who gave me a lot of good advice, a younger guy. But I tell people all the time, I made my life by living off of young people and respecting their intelligence and their attitude about certain things.
Thank you, Coach.
Coach Greene, thank you so very much. Slim, this is another little tidbit on the great Ray Greene. I don't care what it is, and Bulldogs all over the country know exactly where I'm going with this. I don't care if it's football, basketball, baseball, bowling, volleyball, any intercollegiate athletic sport that they play on the campus at Alabama A&M, you must first recite the Bulldog Creed. And I know most of it, and I won't get into that right now, but you're looking at the man who wrote the Bulldog Creed.
Yes,
and Coach,
after the Kentucky State game, which I don't want to
Coach, we do appreciate you coming on our show. Thank you so very, very much. Give our best to Pat, little Ray, and Stephanie. Thank you, Coach, and have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you again, Coach Greene. Merry Christmas to both of your families.
Thank you, Coach. Thanks. Take care of yourself. Coach, God bless you, Coach.
Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you.
All right.
Wow.
I didn't know you wrote the creed.
I am a Bulldog. I'm proud to be a Bulldog. That's all I know of it. But we are a family that depends on each other. This team is as strong as I am, and I'll do everything I can to keep it that way. Ray Greene wrote that. A legend. Yeah. You hear me?
Yeah.
A legend. Not just at Alabama A&M. Throughout HBCU football and a true pioneer. No question. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, it's time again for Slim's Picking. Go ahead, buddy.
Congratulations to Coach Hubbard on his College Football Hall of Fame induction. In the history of NCAA football, there's only been one HBCU to ever beat a national champion. It's only been one, and that was led by Rudy Hubbard, coached the FAMU Rattlers. They beat UMass in 1978, 35-28. The following year, on October 6th, the FAMU Rattlers upset Miami 16-13. I'm talking about the U. Rudy Hubbard also led the Rattlers to 2 consecutive black college titles in 1977 and in 1978. A true trailblazer in every sense of the word. Hubbard was a 3-year letterman at the University of Ohio, the Ohio State University, the Buckeyes, from 1965 to 1967. After graduation, the great Woody Hayes hires him as an assistant coach in 1968. From there, Hubbard would go on to help the Buckeyes win 2 national championships in 1968 and again in 1970. Again, Congratulations, Coach Rudy Hubbard. And HBCU hoops, upset is the word of the day. We've already seen my Texas Southern Tigers take down the Florida Gators 69-54. South Carolina State Bulldogs beat South Florida 65-64. And as we push towards March Madness, ladies and gentlemen, keep a very close eye on Norfolk State, North Carolina Central, Prairie View A&M, and Jackson State, because it's about to get real close in the hunt as we come down to the wire. Stay tuned, sports fans. And that's Slim's Pickings.
All right, now, my brother. Excellent job.
All right, Coach. Cool. College football. We got a whole lot of hires we got to discuss. Hugh Jackson, Grambling State. I mean, we kind of got a little bit on that from the past show. Doug Williams didn't want to hint about it, but it has been confirmed. Hugh Jackson will be Grambling State's next head coach. What do you think? What's your take?
Well, Sam, Doug alluded to it when he came on our show. Grambling needed a shot in the arm. And I think there's no question they got a shot in the arm. I mean, Hugh Jackson, head football coach at the Oakland Raiders, head football coach at the Cleveland Browns, been an offensive coordinator throughout the National Football League. There's no question about Hugh Jackson's ability to orchestrate an offensive attack. And it's a splash hire, any way you cut it up. And I wish Hugh Jackson all the best. He will be successful if he is able to deploy the same tactic that the last splash hire Grambling made when they brought their native son back 2 times in 1998 and then in 2011, Doug Williams. Doug Williams was a splash hire. Why was Doug successful? And we talked about it when we had Doug on the show. When Doug Williams walks across that campus, when Doug Williams is on the game field in the meeting room in front of Gramblinites, they don't see a first-round pick. They don't see a NFL front office executive. They don't see a Super Bowl MVP. They see one of their own. If Hugh Jackson can transform and be in the mix, camouflage himself, and be one of their own, Hugh Jackson will be successful at Grambling. No question about it.
Eric Dooley answers his call and goes back home Southern, Coach. What's your take?
He did. And Eric Dooley's a good football coach. There's no question about it. He had a winning season at Prairie View A&M. They got a little shaky down the stretch at PV, and PV upped the ante. They offered him more money to stay. He said all along, Southern is my dream job. He got the call to go back home. He's from New Orleans, went to Forsyth High School. He knows the lay of the land. Hopefully he'll do well there. I wish him all the best.
Speaking of PV, Coach, they have yet to hire a guy, but they have a lot of capital.
They have not. And Prairie View, Mildred, should be the best job in the SWAC. And I'll tell you why. Okay. It's called Prairie View A&M. Mildred, you know what that A&M stands for, don't you?
Yeah, that they're in the A&M system, Coach.
Absolutely. What's the big boy of the A&M system?
Texas A&M Aggies.
Ain't no question about it, Slim. There ain't no question about it. Prairie View, excellent school of engineering, excellent school of nursing. Go on that campus and look at that stadium. They got money at Prairie View. That job is open. I don't know who they get. We talked about Mike Singletary earlier. He's from Houston. He's from Shona. He's from Sunnyside. So he knows the inner city, the lay of the land. I would call that a good hire if they go in that direction. I have heard they're talking about Kevin Sumlin. I don't like that hire. And I'll tell you why. There's nothing, absolutely nothing on Kevin Sumlin's resume that would make me think that he could remotely be successful in an HBCU arena. Nothing. I mean, understand something, and I've seen this time and time again. Okay? I've seen this time and time again. Just because you have big-time D1 experience as a coach that don't mean diddly squat in the HBCU arena. I've seen it. I've seen it. Alex Wood at Florida A&M, epic fail. Alex Wood helped Eric Dickerson win national championships at the University of Miami. Offensive coordinator, Cincinnati Bengals. Offensive coordinator at the Minnesota Vikings under Dennis Green was Jim Caldwell's offensive coordinator at ACC Wake Forest. Gets the job at Florida A&M. You think he forgot how to coach? Heck no. Just a fish out of water. Tony Hughes had been an assistant at every D1 school in the state of Mississippi. Gets the job at Jackson State, epic fail. Mike Haywood, assistant coach under Nick Saban at LSU, assistant coach at Texas under Mac Brown, assistant coach at Notre Dame under Charlie Weiss, where he played, oh, by the way, gets the job at Texas Southern, epic fail. Just because you have been in a D1 or in the NFL, it does not necessarily spell success in the HBCU arena. So I hope Prairie View can get it right this time. But I'm sure they will. I got the porch light on for Prairie View. That's my
there
school.
You go, Coach. Now, for D1.
Okay.
Brian Kelly goes to LSU.
I like that hire 100%. Let's say something. Brian Kelly's a good ball coach. You don't have 5 straight 10-game winning seasons at Notre Dame. He's the all-time winningest coach at Notre Dame. More than Lou Holtz, more than Newt Rockne. Brian Kelly is a no-nonsense guy, and I believe Brian Kelly will get it done at LSU. I like that hire.
Lincoln Riley to USC, Coach.
I love that hire, too. My Okie contemporaries back home ain't so swole, ain't too happy about it. But let me tell you something. Lincoln Riley knew I'm on Highway SEC. And right now, I can't beat Oklahoma State, and Oklahoma State couldn't beat Baylor. And I said it before, geographically, it makes perfect sense to get the hell out of Dodge if you're in Norman, Oklahoma, especially if you can go to USC. Because where he is right now in recruiting, he's a visitor, okay? And any way you cut it, Oklahoma is a Texas school. And now you got 2 Texas schools you got 2 SEC schools in Texas. Lincoln Riley saw that. Get the heck out of here. Go to California where everybody who comes there is a visitor. And I ain't got to leave if I don't wanna. And my competition, Oregon, Utah, are you kidding me? And guess what? In recruiting, they got to come to me. So I like that hire, Lincoln Riley. Yeah. Yeah.
Coach, Brent Venables goes to Oklahoma.
Brent Venables going to Oklahoma? Congratulations, Brent Venables. I'm happy for you. But how ironic is it that Brent Venables would be welcomed back to the very place he was run off from? Okay? Don't get it twisted now. Blood thicker than water. Bob Stoops, I tell you what your pawpaw used to say, Slim, get fired up, okay? Bob Stoops ran Lincoln Riley off to Clemson to make room for his brother, Mike Stoops, who was fired at the University of Arizona, okay? Okay, now Brent Venables, good defensive mind, and I wish him all the best. He better hire him 9 show enough dogs to hit the road and get some players. Because again, the University of Oklahoma is headed right down Highway SEC for 2025. Okay? And you got to get some players when you jump in the woods with Alabama, LSU, and Georgia. Okay? And so get ready, Sooner Faithful. You're going to be looking at some 8-4s and some 9-3s. But welcome home, Brent Venables. He's a defensive mind. I like that. You don't want to play grass basketball in the SEC. I wish him luck. We'll see.
Hey, look, well, good luck to all the coaches. It'll be good for college football in general if we can get the Trojans back to winning football, and we both Okies, coach. So I'm gonna look forward to seeing the Sooners get back to 12-win seasons
Yeah,
and
it's
national
gonna be a minute.
championships.
It's
It's gonna
gonna
be
be
a
a
minute. I'm looking, hey, okay, cool. We got time. Pro football, coach. As we go to press, the Browns are giving it to the Ravens. I think they just carted off Lamar Jackson. He probably won't be back for the rest of the game. It's 24-9. I
Yeah, I
mean,
hate that. I hate that for Lamar. And this is a contract year as well. And he's the most important player to his team than any player in the NFL. My prayers go out to Lamar. I hope that he will be all right. They had been winning ugly. Without him, it's obvious they ain't gonna win it all.
obviously not, coach. After that, we got the Raiders and the Chiefs. As we go to press in the fourth quarter right now, Chiefs 38, Raiders 9.
Yeah, it's a wrap on that. Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, they got that bunch playing good football. Andy Reid, Eric Bieniemy got them headed toward the playoffs, and they're starting to look like a playoff team. Slim, I'm excited. I'm excited about, how we used to do it? Monday night. Ba, 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 ba.
Monday night, coach. Monday
Bruh.
night. It's not Buffalo and Tampa Bay. It ain't Chicago and Green Bay. It's the Chargers.
No,
Visit
Monday night.
Monday
Monday
night,
night,
coach.
them Rams. Monday night, them Rams.
The Rams go to the Cardinals, face Kyler.
Monday night, the Rams go to the Cardinals, and bro, that's gonna be a show enough throw down. I'll tell you what, man. Stevie Wonder said, if you believe in things you don't understand, you suffer. Superstition ain't the way. Well, I don't like to brag on my Cardinals because every time I brag on somebody, they lose. But they 10-2. They are quietly the best team in the National Football League. They're the best team in the National Football League. They got 10 wins right now. They 10-2. We got 5 left, and the Rams are visiting. I look forward to seeing them on Monday night. I'm gonna kick back, Slim, get out of my glad rags, and watch the games.
All right, coach. Tell mom I love her. All right.
Yeah, man. Hey, we gonna be up there Christmas. We coming up there to see you Christmas.
Looking forward to it, coach.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna get your ass for calling me goofy.
Okay. Bye, coach.
All right. Congratulations to Marcus Freeman, who on Monday was named the 30th head football coach in the history of the University of Notre Dame. Oh, to be sure, Marcus Freeman, you were appointed to this prestigious position for the same reason your predecessor, Brian Kelly, left to go to LSU. Brian Kelly, who in 2013 took a good butt kicking in the national championship game to the University of Alabama, 42-14. And then twice he led the Fighting Irish to a CFP berth and was soundly thrashed in both games. First to Clemson, 34-10. And then in 2020 to the University of Alabama, 31-14. Brian Kelly at Notre Dame was Moses. He had taken Notre Dame football as far as he could, and well, he knew it. Marcus Freeman, your assignment at Notre Dame is to be Joshua on the night that he was murdered. Dr. Martin Luther King said, I have been to the mountaintop and I have looked over and I have seen the promised land. Marcus Freeman, for you at Notre Dame, seeing the promised land won't be good enough. Get there, my brother. And just know this, we're pulling and praying for you. And hey, that's how I see it. 6 o'clock, straight up and down.
Well, you went back with that Dr. King reference, Coach. You hit me hard, man. And look, ladies and gentlemen, that's how we see it, and that's how it is. Thank God we get to do this again.
Thank God.
Thank you so very much, Coach Greene, for being our guest star on Show 16, Episode 16 of Homespun Sports, Sports Talk with a twist of down home wisdom. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You like the video, you hit the comments, and hit that little bell. Make sure it's got them things on it so you can stay notified when we drop a video, whenever we post something. So you guys can always have our content. It's all live, it's all for you, and it's all for real. Until next episode, Show 17. Hey, Coach, let's go get out of here, man.
Oh, man, come on now. You know how we do it. What you said.